Hi everyone, hope you're alright and still managing to access the work that is being set via Teams. Okay, before I go on to explain what this project is all about, I just thought I'd like to double check a few things, largely about the title of this video, just to make sure that you've got the right title for your group. There are 3 of these videos, they're all similar, okay, but it is making sure that you have got the right video. As I move on, just before we go further, you'll notice in the bottom right hand corner, okay, that there is this little pause button. I'll pause this at various stages so that you can get a chance to complete the tasks and then also reflect on the work that you've done. So that pause button will disappear for the moment. So more importantly, as we look at this worksheet, you'll notice in the top left hand corner here there is a table. That table identifies the 4 tasks that we're going to be looking at and what it is that you need to do for each task and the level that you would achieve by completing that section. I'll pause, like I was mentioning a moment ago, at each task to give you an opportunity to complete them. There's the learning objective just there, okay? And we've also got some keywords, some key terms. Now these are going to be really important. I would suggest perhaps highlighting these or circling them whenever you see them to make sure that you fully understand what they are. We've got some connectives that can be used when doing any written work, so again have a look for those on the page as we go through. Now this first task is about analysing a design brief. Here's the design brief here and there's some information above there. So this is to design a robotic home help device which would help the elderly or disabled people carry out everyday tasks in their home. Now what I've done here is I've set up some sentence starters for you to have a look at, and there are essentially 5 questions that form the 5 W's. What I would like you to do is have a read through this information here and then complete each of these sentences with some information what you feel is relevant based on this here. And finally, at the end, what research do you think you might need to do to help you take this project a little bit further? At this point, I'm going to pause and for you to do the task. Okay. So what you should have done there in that pause part is just to pause your video, and you should have completed that task by now. By looking back at this level criteria here, this will give you an idea as to where it is you fit on that scale. So moving on to the next task then, this is about producing a range of realistic design ideas. So we've got a page that's set up a little bit here. Now to support your ideas, what I'm going to suggest that you do perhaps is have a look on the internet, gather a range of images on robots and collect them in this box here. This will be very useful in creating a mood board to help support some of your ideas. At this point, we'll then move on to the design ideas section. There are a couple here that have been started. You may want to finish them yourself, okay, by sketching what you think the rest of that robot might look like. In the other space here, I would like you to come up with at least 1, maybe 2 of your own ideas here. Following on from that, once you've got that design idea, we're going to then look at developing it. Here's an example of how that idea has then been developed. So we've got a thumbnail just here. We're going to take one of those ideas and we're going to detail it up here in a little bit more detail, a little bit more colour, and we're going to start to add some notes, some annotations to describe what your robot does and how it is it may help the elderly or disabled. Again, keep your writing in pen and writing horizontally, just like it's done here. It's also very useful to put some arrows. So again, I'm going to pause at this stage, okay, and this will allow you to then complete that task. Right, okay, now that task has been complete. What you should be able to do is again come back to this area here and you can then make a judgment as to how well it is that you've done. So, moving on. I've actually included that level criteria here, and this is about making a prototype. So here's one as an example. So this is an opportunity for you to rummage around the house a little bit to get a hold of some different materials and to make your prototype, to make a model of your design. Once you've done that, if you could then submit a photo just here, that'll enable me to see that and obviously to mark it later on. At which point you should be able to then look at this criteria and complete once again by circling perhaps one of these levels which you feel that you've achieved. So once again, I'm going to put a pause on. Right then, the last section. This is about creating an evaluation, looking at ways in which you could improve your design and perhaps your model as well. To help you out with that, I've got some keywords here, okay? And you might want to score each aspect of your design 0 to 5 based on how well it meets these points. Following on from that, what I would like you to do is looking back at that design brief, looking back at that specification that we spoke about earlier, using some of these connectives, I would like you to evaluate your design idea. Now you'll notice I've got a sentence starter in there for you. I'd like you to finish off explaining how well you think your robot functions, what it looks like, how well it suits the environment, its audience, and what do you think about the materials that you use to make it. So I'm going to pause that briefly. Having done that, once again, just like you've done previously, you should be able to go back through these overall learning aims and make a bit of a judgment. That will conclude your project. Okay, thank you very much.